My name is Sophie, and I live with my mom and dad. My dad works for a large bank in our town, so we have a pretty comfortable lifestyle. My mom stays home with me most days while my dad goes off to work, and in the evenings we all eat supper together. But that all changed one day when my dad came home from work raging mad.
I can't believe it. After 10 years of hard work, they let me go just like that. This isn't fair.
My dad got fired? He was really upset and started to take it out on us. He started getting into more fights with my mom, arguing about his stress levels. Dinners together weren't fun anymore. Every day for a week, the night would always end with my dad throwing a fit and leaving.
I've had it. I'm going for a drink.
My mom would just cry when he left, and I was starting to get very worried. My father was becoming more and more upset as the days went on and he still couldn't find a job. Then, one day, he came back from the bar and he was smiling wide.
Our problems are all over. Soon we'll be rich.
Of course, I didn't believe him. My father still didn't have any job, and my mother was a stay-at-home mom. How could we ever get rich? So, imagine my surprise when he got home from another day drinking and produced a fat wad of cash. My mother and I were stunned. Somehow, my father had actually done it. That night, he took us out to a fancy restaurant and paid for it himself. The next day, I saw my father with one of his best friends, and they secretly headed to our basement. I tried to follow them, but they locked the door on me. I looked through the keyhole to try and see what my father was doing, but all I could see is the two of them bent over the table. I went back upstairs to watch some television, and after a few hours, I heard the door unlock. I sat quietly as my father and his friends came up the stairs. His friend left, but I noticed a big duffel bag that he didn't come here with. I was curious and decided to ask my father about it. Dad, what were you doing in there? And what's in that bag?
Mind your own business. The basement's off limits, do you understand? You can't ever go down there.
I tried to ignore it, but my curiosity was killing me. What was my dad doing in there? About once a week, his friend would come over to go to the basement with him too. But he was stricter than ever about not going down there. He even installed a second door with a better lock. I couldn't get in even if I tried. It was killing me not knowing what was in there, so I asked my mom about it. What's Dad always doing in the basement? He never lets me in there, and it's a little weird, don't you think? She just changed the subject and didn't answer the question at all. It was burning me up inside. I had to know what was in there. I tried to come up with a plan, and in the meantime, my parents' relationship improved drastically. My father was much more happy, and even though he still fought with my mom, he'd always apologize with an expensive gift. We got a new, more expensive car, improvements to the house, and all sorts of new furniture and electronics. My dad bought an expensive suit and started wearing it everywhere he went. My mom was showered in jewelry, new clothes, and shoes. Even I received a lot of gifts and video games. Still, it didn't answer my questions about my dad. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to figure out what was in our basement. That night, after I was sure my parents were asleep, I snuck into the garage and took Father's toolbox. Then I went to the basement and began to try and pry open the secured door. I worked for a long time, hacking and prying to try and get into the door, but I heard footsteps approaching quickly. I wasn't as quiet as I thought I was being. I tried to hide, but there was nowhere, and my dad soon caught me red-handed.
What did I tell you? The basement is off limits. You're grounded, and if I ever see you down here again, I'll make sure you really regret it.
I was sent back to my room and left to wonder why my father was so protective of his basement. Since I was grounded, the next day I spent in my room coming up with ideas of what was in there. Finally, when it was nighttime again, I was about to try again. Suddenly, sirens started blaring, and there was a loud knocking at our door. I went downstairs to investigate and found police officers handcuffing my father. I was stunned. They took him away as other officers went to the basement and pried open the door. I managed to get past them and was shocked by what I saw. In the basement, there was a huge pile of money and a state-of-the-art photocopier. The police explained to my mother and I what happened. Apparently, my father and the friend I saw earlier came up with the idea of making their own money using that machine. They were very good replicas, but the friend had gotten arrested the previous day. He had gotten stopped at a routine stop and happened to have a duffel bag of fake money in the car. The friend instantly snitched on my father, and they came to arrest him and shut down his money business. They took my father to prison for counterfeiting the money. Because it was bought with fake money, my mother and I had to give up most of the things we bought and move to a smaller home. We aren't rich like we used to be, but at least we're happy together. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.